Yeah, I hit the start streaming button. And then there's a little, yeah, it says it's live at the bottom of the OBS. You're waiting for it to come onto YouTube? You're checking? Mm-hmm. So I just need to stream here. I don't need to record. Okay. I'll wait for that to happen. Okay. All right, man. Well, listen, I gotta prepare. So I don't know if there's a. Is it on yet? Okay, great. So you see me talking on the phone to you. All right. And then this is just. I mean, I don't think that anyone. But we are capturing this, and then we can edit it down, right? Okay. All right, great. Oh, I don't have the YouTube up. I thought it came through the OBS. Anyway, at least we got that going, and then stop streaming. Okay, at the end. All right, cool. Okay, thanks. That wasn't complicated at all. Relying on the younger generation. I mean, you know, they've been doing this stuff since birth. Yeah, since they were infants. I still remember a time there wasn't cell phones. You had to go to the arcade for video games. Yeah. All right, let's get this guy. Are you there? Welcome.
I'm here for 1 second. Just wave to him. Oh, hi. Sorry, we're not muted.
Mute.
I've got your technical advisor here.
Oh, my God. Let me see. Yeah, keep yourself muted.
Your technical advisor just wanted to give it a quality check. There you go.
We're streaming. Thank
Thumbs
you.
up.
Thanks, Silas, for all your help. We've got a few minutes. I'm trying to get things streamlined via YouTube and Zoom and all of the things. So we'll see what happens. People are showing up, so that's a good sign. That means that they're finding the link. be right back, folks. We're going to wait for a few people to pop in. How's it going? I'm okay. Yeah, I'm good. Let's take a minute after tonight chat. Great. Paul, how was the ride up?
That was good.
Yeah. Did you ride or did you?
No, I drove. I ended up surfing.
Oh,
El Porto, so I drove.
What's it? El Porto's Manhattan Beach?
It's North Manhattan, right up against the refinery. Right
Oh yeah.
the power plant. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I haven't surfed much down here. I'd like to though, actually, get out more. Went out a couple times, kind of Venice, and just south of Malibu, like Temescal, around there.
I've never surfed Venice.
Yeah, just this side of the Santa Monica Pier. There's a couple on a good day. There's some good little. I mean, they're not very big, but they're good. It's not beach break. That's the point.
How was your protein donut?
Oh, I haven't eaten it yet.
You haven't eaten
No, it's
it
still in the fridge. I know.
That seems like an
I was actually
incredible amount of strength.
I was actually planning on eating it tonight with some caramel fudge ice cream. Yeah.
With protein in it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
I
ice cream.
mean, ice cream has protein. Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's right. Milk.
Milk is protein. No. What else was I thinking about? That's it for now. Wait for some people to attend.
Used to do a lot of mountain biking in Colorado. When my kid was riding home in the car, driving home, I looked over, there was a Burger King. I'm like, oh, wow. So I went in Whopper combo with cheese, and with onion rings and stuff. And I looked, I'm like, wow, it's 1,800 calories. And I looked at my Garmin and it says, oh, you burned 2,600 calories already today.
Oh, there.
Oh, well, say I can eat this, and I'm still 1,800 calories. Okay.
That's actually funny because I did like a double workout the other day where I do this kickboxing and then I went to the gym and I have a heart monitor thing and I've been like trying to keep track of how many, and it was like I'm average like 700 calories or something like that I burn in a workout, and then so I doubled it, right, and then I was like, oh yeah, I can have like double dinner because I need it actually. Pasta. I can have some pasta. That's all kind of new to me. For years, I just ate whatever I wanted and worked out and didn't really worry about it. But
Yeah, mine started changing around the age of 40.
yep,
Yeah.
it was about 42 actually for me.
Was it? Yeah.
42. There, I started to notice a lot of differences. In the physiology. More minutes. There's probably a few people popping in. Yes.
Since I came out of here.
You probably have to travel further here to get to anywhere decent.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's pretty small in Colorado. I live in Boulder. I live outside of Boulder, so I could drive for 30 minutes and then get on the
All right.
trail, single track.
Here we are.
For 20 miles.
Welcome. Welcome those of you in the room. This is a Rebel Dharma group meeting every Wednesday 7:30 to 9 at the Against the Stream Center. Just waiting for a few more people to kind of roll in. Just hit 7:30. It's for those who attend. Why don't we take a minute, and you folks will just have to occupy yourselves while people are rolling in. I'm going to have the group just introduce themselves a little bit to each other. So why don't you just turn to someone maybe you haven't talked to, you haven't spoken with, and just say hi. What brings you here? How's things going? Yeah.
John.
Once we get people in the room, we'll do some breakouts with you guys in the future.
John.
I'm happy to see that there's so many people who have found the new link. So I'm glad that hopefully it wasn't troublesome. We have set several ways, and we're still working on getting some streamlining, but there's a page on my website that you can go to. And also through my link tree that's in my Instagram bio also, and we're working on streamlining. My friend Jeremy kind of has been helping me out with that. Thanks, I see you here tonight. Thanks for volunteering to be helpful in getting me into the 20 whatever century we are, 21st, 22nd. I don't know. I guess we're in the 22nd century, aren't we?
Just come once in a while.
Yeah. Things change all the time. All right, well, I think we're all settled in. So wrap it up for a second. That was me just kind of jabbering to keep you guys occupied while they introduce themselves. Welcome. So meditate. We're going to meditate for a bit. And we generally sit about 30 minutes. So it's a 30-minute guided meditation. And depending on the kind of experience in the room, it kind of depends, or my mood, depends on the amount of guidance that I give. So, maybe just like, is there anyone that is new to this group, new to the Dharma or meditation? We'll start with on the Zoom. If you could just unmute yourself and introduce yourself, and let me know if you're new to the group. We'd love to hear from you.
Hi there. My name is Ashley, and I am new to the group, and also I'm a yoga therapist, so I'm not new to meditation, but I was just curious. I've always interested in an online community, and so was just kind of checking to see what this is all about.
All right. Well, wonderful. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Andy. I am new to the group. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. And then, so we had one person that said they were, a yoga teacher, but a little bit newer to meditation. And what about anyone else? Anyone else fairly new? And by fairly new, I mean, first decade of practice. Right. Or really the first few as far as giving instruction. Yeah. James.
Hey guys, my name's James. I'm new to the group, relatively new to meditation, but I've been sitting a lot and enjoying it. So I'm happy to meet you all.
Wonderful. Glad you found us. Yeah. And what about in the room? Anyone new to meditation, new to the group? Hey, Paul. Welcome. Paul's second time, Paul, right? You were here once before, a couple weeks ago? Great. All right. It's always good when we get some new folk coming in and checking it out. And I mean, just kind of a personal message like this practice of meditation. I mean, really, there's two pieces to why I'm still alive and functioning today. And one is having found that there's no future in the kind of endless cycle of addiction, and letting go of that. There's been levels, there's levels of letting go, right? It's kind of a theme for tonight. And the second was finding meditation, and then more deeply kind of studying Buddhism and really learning that I could change my relationship to experience, regardless of the experience. And that those two things, so studying the Dharma, sitting long-term practice, understanding more about Buddhist psychology, and maintaining abstinence from substances and behaviors that are addictive has been life-changing for me, and probably why I'm not dead yet, So just to say that much. And yeah, so we'll kind of pick up on some of those themes later, but let's just start by finding a posture that's workable, that's sustainable, where you can feel relaxed and alert. And those of you in the room, just know that there isn't any kind of wrong way to sit in meditation. No, actually, I should say there isn't a right way to sit in meditation. There's a few wrong ways, like hunched and maybe curled up in a ball. That might be hard to do. But standing, sitting, lying down are all totally fine to do. Sitting in a chair, sitting cross-legged, it's not necessary. Finding what works best for you. The main thing for those of you at home and here is to allow your body to be upright, to allow your head to not be too raised or too low, to kind of try to find that middle, that midpoint where you can just kind of rest your head kind of just on your shoulders, just like normal. Sometimes we might lean forward a little bit. Sometimes people lean back a little bit or lean their head up a little bit. I do notice a lot of times when people are learning to meditate, they do this at first, or they feel like they're in prayer, and so they're kind of ducking their head like they should be in prayer. And neither of those things are necessary, and might end up over long periods of time giving you some kind of crick in your neck. So best to just find that first vertebra, the very first vertebra, and give yourself a little shake no and a little shake yes, and then finding that middle ground. And then rising the head up towards the ceiling. It's often helpful to allow the eyes to close. It's not necessary to close your eyes, but it's often helpful. And then just arriving here, just settling in. You've dedicated this time in your life, this time in the evening, this evening to practice. So maybe just taking a moment and congratulating yourself for showing up for yourself. Maybe it's been a long day. Maybe it's been a hard day. Maybe it's been an amazing day. Regardless, you've taken this time out. So just acknowledging that. But opening to the comings and goings of sound. Sounds outside the room. And sounds inside the room. If you can, just allowing the sounds to kind of remain in the background of our attention. We're not trying to shut anything out, nor are we trying to let everything in. But really, in this moment, just allowing sound and perhaps even thoughts to be in the background. As we aim our attention a little more specifically towards this experience of breathing. So breathing in, know that you're breathing in. Connecting with the experience of breath, wherever's easiest. Tip of the nose, rise and fall of the belly. And once you've established a point of contact, allow that to be your anchor, rooting you in this present time experience of the breath. Of course, knowing that sound and thoughts, sensations of the body will still be calling for your attention. None of it's a problem. It is just part of experience. A simple technique would be to note when the attention wanders off, say, thinking, or sound, or hearing, or sensation in the body. Just a simple, quick note. And then aim the attention back.
Recording in progress.
Again and again. Just recognizing if the attention wanders off. And with a sense of friendliness or kindness with the mind, aiming the attention back. Connecting with the experience of breathing, present time, moment to moment experience. And then sustaining that attention for as long as possible. If you find that perhaps there's a lot of restlessness or agitation in the mind, giving a simple job, sometimes it's a word, or perhaps counting the breath, or a simple word like calm on the inhale, relax on the exhale, can be useful. again and again. Just recognizing when the attention has wandered off. And noting, if we can remember, what the distraction was, what the situation was. It thinking or sensation in the body? Was it a sound? Did we move into a story? And without judgment, without criticism, just acknowledging that process. And with that sense of ease and comfort, return to the anchor, the breath in the body. relaxing into each new breath. If there's been some instruction you've been using, some counting, some noting, the invitation is to let that go and just relax into the breath. Observing the different sounds and thoughts and sensations that arise. And seeing if we can notice any feeling tone. Perhaps pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. Say with a thought or a sound or a breath or a sensation in the body. The felt sense accompanying the experience of knowing. There is a teaching. If you can let go a little, let go of our attachments, our needing to be right, our ego-centered selfishness, you can let go a little. There'll be a little freedom. If we can let go a lot, there'll be a lot of freedom. If we let go completely, we can have complete freedom from suffering, from distress. Just seeing if there's, the next few moments, something we can set down. Something that's in the way of our own peace and ease. What's this moment like? This breath, this body, this mind, here. Feel free to move about, stretch out. And also maybe just reflect. What was that like? Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral? Agonizing, freeing, torturous, liberating, somewhere in between. I guess I'd just open up for questions or reflections about that practice, the last 30 minutes or so. I mean, really, we can open up for any questions that you might have about meditation or about Buddhism. Please.
What would you say about, I feel like recently, at least with my practice, I've kind of been noticing that there's a lot of effort that goes into kind of trying to attain, trying to like put my mind in a particular state.
Mm-hmm.
And lately I think there's kind of been an instinct to like kind of let go of some of the instruction. I feel like almost the worst thing that you could do to have or to give somebody with like an expectation is like an instruction without meditation in your life, because it kind of leads you to, I don't know, make it something it's not really.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. I feel like recently I've just kind of been trying to like walk away from that a little bit and just
The instructions?
yeah, and just kind of it feels like not as much energy is going into trying to maybe attain something that really is not really shouldn't be trying to attain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a great question about kind of when to apply effort and when to trust your instincts, trust your wise mind, And I know immediately what came into my mind is like a metaphor of, have you ever been sailing?
Yeah, I haven't sailed.
So in order to get out of the harbor, you need an engine, and you have to navigate and move yourself into a place. Then that's out in the kind of open ocean, and then you can you can put the sails up first, right? But it doesn't really that you get to a certain place, you have to adjust yourself in a certain way with a boat. I've only been on a couple boats and only went sailing a few times, but this is what came into my mind, and then the wind will kind of take over, and then the engine isn't needed anymore. And I feel like the same thing is true for instructions. And sometimes, and actually, it's funny that you say that, because sometimes I feel like, especially in this tradition, in the kind of Theravada or Vipassana tradition, there's a lot of tinkering that happens. Like, note this and do that and follow the breath, and There's all suggestions, right? And some people really like that, and they're, oh yeah, something to do, something to help kind of rein it in, which is really necessary. And others don't, and that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I think of this idea of like, well, there's the what's called the parable of the raft, which is, there's this student or there's a meditator on one shore, and then there's this vast river between the beginning and the liberation or freedom from suffering. There's this river, and so one must build a raft to get across the river. But then once across the river, abandon the raft and continue on. And that sometimes what happens is that people grasp onto, they're picking up the raft and they're hiking through the jungle with this big ass raft because they're like, hey, I may need this again, That's another way of saying, like, sometimes instructions are good and useful. And and if letting it go and creating space, ultimately, that's the practice. A lot of times what we utilize here in meditation, or in this practice of meditation, is what's called the 4 foundations of mindfulness, right? And so the 4 foundations of mindfulness are awareness and practice focused on the body and the breath, awareness or development, I should say, and practice focused on the feeling tones. So I pointed a little bit to that today. So once we establish breath, body awareness, and we can maintain that, then we kind of open it up to, okay, what else is happening here? And then the 3rd foundation is perception, which I pointed a little bit to in the instructions. This idea of the stories that kind of, like, when our mind gets lost, oftentimes it comes with sound for me. I'll hear a sound, and a truck or a bus or a honk or a siren or something. And then instead of just, sometimes I try to not even label it, instead of just labeling it and coming back, there'll be a story attached to it. Oh, I wonder what's happening. Maybe there's an accident. Maybe the 7-Eleven down the street got robbed, and who knows, whatever the situation is. So sometimes my mind will just kind of walk off, right, on a story. So that's in the 4 foundations of mindfulness, what's called perception. So then when we catch that, when we see that, it's not a problem. No, it's just the mind doing its thing. And so aiming the attention back to the foundation, breath, body, where we started. And then, there's a little bit more, and then back, and then a little bit more, and then back. And so this is mindfulness. The 3rd foundation of mindfulness is mindfulness of mind. And what this means is once we've established this kind of pattern a little bit and see, oh, okay, I can have my attention focused on my breath, my body. I can maintain centered here for a little bit of time. My mind may wander off a little bit, but it comes back. I'm able to see it and bring it back with kindness, without judgment, without criticism. Then the instruction is to then turn that the collected attention toward the mind itself. But for the first 3, just kind of ignore the mind. It's out of fucking control, doing whatever it wants, coming up with all kinds of stories, shouting its bad advice, And so better to just kind of like, now. You've been driving for a long time, and, maybe we need a rest. And so learning to kind of ignore the mind can be helpful in the beginning. So the other instructions are also kind of helping us to do that. And then once we've kind of gained some collected attention, some strength of mind, some training, then turning the attention toward the mind again. But doing so in this observational, which I kind of gave at the end there, the relax, observe, allow, this observational view. And then we can kind of see, oh, what's the themes in the mind? What are the stories? Where's the attachment? What's in the way of my own peace and ease? And that's the third foundation of mindfulness. And the fourth foundation of mindfulness is called the Dharmas, which basically means like understanding things like the hindrances and then utilizing that in your practice. Oh, this is the hindrance of sleepiness. Oh, this is the hindrance of restlessness or agitation. Oh, this is the hindrance of doubt plaguing my mind. I have enough mindfulness, enough concentration, enough practice that I can see this happening. And then even sometimes even applying antidotes. I mean, mindfulness is a huge antidote. Compassion, loving kindness, concentration. So that's one model. It's a pretty well-established model here in the United States of America, as well as in Southeast Asian practice, which is Theravada practice, which is where most of my training has been in this area. But there's a beautiful other practice. It's called Anapanasati. Anapanasati means the wisdom and mindfulness of the in and out breath. That's it. And that is establishing, we're doing the same thing. It's the same practice, but there's less tinkering. And this is establishing mindfulness and attention towards the breath, the experience of breathing, like we've given, and then just riding the wave and seeing what happens. And I love both practices, and my primary practice is Anapanasati. So it's this kind of establishing one's attention towards this experience of breathing, and then just kind of opening, which is what you're talking about. That's also kind of a Zen practice too, and Soto Zen, Rinzai Zen too, but they're a little bit more koan oriented. But just this kind of open awareness. But there's a meditation object. It's important to have an object. And eventually, the object falls away. And that's okay. Eventually, we don't need the raft anymore. But that usually has to do with some mind training. Yeah. So see for yourself, And sometimes what happens for people, what I've shared, what other people have shared with me, what I've experienced myself, is that there's this, we'll kind of let go. Okay, I'm going to allow this to kind of fall to the wayside. And I kind of said that, actually. But I was actually meaning more emotional or more kind of hindrance, kind of mental blocks and stuff. But it also can very well mean let go of the instruction. And if for whatever reason it doesn't happen, or there's some, the mind starts spinning, then grab hold of the instruction again. I guess to use the my sailboat analogy, you pick a heading and you're just kind of going in that way, and then you might let go of the wheel, and then if there's a gust of wind or something pulls you off course, well, you gotta course correct. Yeah. Fine to do that. I encourage it, actually. Some of my most, useful meditations, after establishing for, some time, because I had a real hardcore practice for a while, and I don't I suggest more of a light effort than I applied in the beginning. But I was young and I came from a martial arts background, and I had this very kind of, this is warrior practice, and it is. But a warrior isn't always fighting, A warrior isn't always fighting. They need to have balance. That's what I love about actually some Zen practice. There is, this beauty in calligraphy and flower arranging and tea ceremony and all of this kind of, some of this kind of artistic expression of Dharma practice. It's not just ardent, But I came from this kind of a bit of an ardent tradition, which is a little the Southeast Asian deal, but they're not all that way. So, hopefully that was helpful to somebody besides myself. 1 second, I'm going to take this question online. DC, Dustin, what's up?
What's up? Thank you so much for that, and thank you, John, for the question. And it's funny, all the boat analogies. I'm on a ship right now, and I was just feeling like the gentle rocking felt so pleasant, like a baby or something. But my question is, I wanted to ask about, you were just talking about the second practice with regard to, I don't know if others have felt this same thing. Well, right now I've shifted from that first, those four foundations of like conjuring the attention and really trying to like fine tune it, to now trying to allow my breath. I don't know if you said it today, but I think I've heard you say it in the past, where like, let your body breathe itself, or observe, you don't have to do anything, your body. And I find myself controlling my breath to such a degree, like it's so hard for me to just like let it find its own rhythm, and that's what I've been shifting, like this last month basically have totally shifted my practice to just trying to, and it can take me up to 15 minutes to just sit there until my breath can kind of, and I'm like kind of even like, am I still controlling it, or is it just, and so I don't know if that's a common thing, and also if you have thoughts about if that's even productive.
Is what productive?
Like to have the focus of trying to release control of the breathing as a practice, versus like maybe the fine tuning the attention in other ways.
Yeah. So one, it is actually. So I had a teacher say, you can learn a lot about the breath. You can learn a lot just watching the breath. Just watching the breath. Do its thing, and our natural tendency to control, to hold, to force, right? So yeah, allowing, that's where I do get the relax, observe, allow, is allowing the body to breathe itself, and then the observational, it's like it's letting go of control, man. And so often there are certain people, I'm not saying this is you necessarily, but could be, there are certain people that when they have a hard time kind of just relaxing into the breath, it's because they have some, what you could call control issues, or a need to control for a sense of safety, possibly developed in childhood, somewhere in their life. And so that comes out in the breath. And then there's others who are just kind of lackadaisical and kind of their mind's just bouncing around everywhere, and they're kind of not even really paying attention to their breath, they're just kind of spacing out. That's more of a, dissociative state that is also a self-defense or a defense, a seeking safety. So that's my thought about it. And I think for you, and because you're the one asking the question, but then also for everyone, helpful to soften more and more around that. And then notice when there's tension, notice when there's the efforting or the even if it's just for a moment of like an ego grasp of like, oh, I want to whatever the I want to is, like I want to do this, I want to take a deeper breath, I want to focus my attention in this particular way. That is where the too much tinkering can be a problem, right? So yeah, I mean, this is, my opinion, my experience, that we can learn a lot just by watching or being with the breath, and what is our relationship to it, So I think it's great, as always, Dee, that you like can control, or you can be aware that there's this controlling tendency, right? And then that you're kind of intuitively knowing that you can, learning to try to soften that. And I think in the beginning, like I said before, sometimes the tool of concentration practice, or even like I often give what's called the calming breath, which is a really great way to work for anxious folks or people who have need some kind of grounding, which is a 4-count inhale of like intentional, and then a 6-count exhale. And that actually, on a physiological level, actually shifts from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system, using the polyvagal theory, the polyvagal nerve. So yeah, keep exploring, keep checking in about it, man.
Thank you.
Sure. Please, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm just getting back into meditation. I'm a musician, so I used to play a lot in orchestras and have a lot of group practices and a lot more group meditation type things. And with COVID, all the group stuff, a lot of it has gone away.
Right.
And I find it really hard to get into a good state, meditate in my meditation practice. I basically can't do it by myself. Because all of my fears and thoughts and being by myself come out and they just win. And I just can't do it. So I'm wondering if you have I love coming here. I immediately feel like I can let go. But I really feel like I've lost that ability when I'm by myself. And I'm wondering if you have any advice for that.
You just said, I feel like when I come here, I can let go. Let go of what?
I just feel like I can actually do the meditation and breathe and be in the present moment and let go of all my thoughts. And my mind wanders and to places I didn't think it would,
Here or alone?
Here, in a group setting.
Sure. Well, I mean, the easy answer is come to groups.
Yeah.
Right. The more nuanced answer is to lean into that which is difficult. Yeah. I mean, if we're only relying, ultimately, all we need to, there's nothing to be relied upon except for the Dharma itself. Even teachers or groups, right? Or a bell or incense or a candle or fucking music or, all of that is a raft. And none of it is really reliable. So learning to, so utilizing the tool that helps you to get into the practice. And it sounds like because you, if I heard you right, because you started kind of in a group practice, kind of doing it together as part of something that you're passionate about, music, right? Because that's kind of how it started. Then there's a little bit of a tendency, a habit of mind. But you can develop a new habit. There is something about being in a group, though, that there's an accountability. There's an accountability. When I have this camera in front of me, you know, and you guys out there and you guys online, like, I'm trying a little bit harder. It's true. Or like sitting in a group when there's someone sitting next to you, you know, you're less likely to stop. It's just, there's something about, that's the beauty of community,
Yeah.
that we're in this together, you know. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that what you just said, the concept of being in this together. My name's Jenny, by the way.
Hi, Jen.
I think that I remember the last time you said in that, like, when I'm sitting alone, sometimes my anxieties feel like catastrophic. It's hard to really get into it, and then just being in this room, doing it together, I am able to really just like fall into it. And, but almost to the point where, like, tonight I started to like nod out. But it's funny because when I'm laying in bed, it'll take me like an hour and a half to fall asleep. And just be so. I don't really know what my question is, but just something I noticed is even though I don't really, this is my first time being here. I don't know anybody in this room, but there's just something so common about doing this with other people.
Yeah. So hopefully you at home are being able to hear. No. Okay. Well, basically talking about community, the importance of being able to do this together, like you guys showing up, we're doing this together, and that there is a palatable, there's been two kind of questions, comments about that. There's a palatable difference. And we actually kind of talked about this last week too, about that literally the room, this room is a dedicated meditation room, right? There's more things that happen here than just meditation, but by and large, every day, multiple times a day, people are coming in this room with the intention to sit, to free their heart and mind, and to find some sense of peace and ease. And that can be palatable. Yeah.
To add to this discussion, I also think there's something to be said about the fact that we were stripped of the opportunity to be surrounded by people. And I think maybe I'll speak for myself, I took that for granted before. And so now just knowing that, having had that experience of having to be by myself, even being surrounded by strangers makes me feel safe. So, and this space, in addition, is a sacred space. But I do think I can relate to that because I know what it's like to not have been able to do it.
To not have, that kind of connection or community. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I appreciate some of the things that are being said, and also this room's not full because there are still people who, feel unsafe in a room of other people, especially if some people are wearing masks, some people aren't. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And there's some hysteria that has been fucking implanted in our brains about this shit. I mean, there really is. And I don't know, there's like blame. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just acknowledging that I went on the same ride. I didn't leave my house for days. I witnessed my own kind of mental health, deteriorate. I witnessed my own, kind of like feeling the loss of connection, and then I rebelled against it, and I would go hang out with people, masked or whatever, We had a crew during the height of the pandemic, like when the beaches were closed, and it was like, what the fuck, We would just get on our motorcycles and we would all go ride. Because it was like the perfect social distance, We're all wearing helmets, we're, were on our own bikes, and it was a way to connect. It was fun. It was doing, little kind of things and seeing the benefit of that. Yeah. And I really hope that, there's a way in which we can find our way back together. One of the reasons why I'm doing a day long at the end of this month, right? 10 to 4, couple hours together in this room to practice, and also to have kind of some fun. So you're all welcome. The last Sunday of the month, 10 to 4. Community is important. There's this story of within Buddhism where the Buddha had a cousin who was also his attendant. His name was Ananda, and Ananda was like considered to be like, I don't know, like really well-meaning but a little dense. Like Ananda didn't get things very easily. He wasn't sharp. Like he wasn't, there's another homie, the disciple, you could call him, student of the Buddha, called Sariputta. And Sariputta was fucking sharp. Like super wise, super on it, one of those AAA type personalities, right? But like Dharma. And Ananda was kind of like, the Big Lebowski, we'll say. He was kind of like, had some, he was in the practice, he was a monk, he was, and anyway, there's this story where, so there's always this dialogue, this kind of back and forth between the Buddha and his cousin, Ananda, and where Ananda is like, oh, I get it now. And the Buddha's like, not quite, Ananda. Like almost, he's like kind of like, oh, you're getting there, in this kind of loving, jovial, but also being the teacher way of like, closer to the goal, but not quite. Anyway, there's this this moment where there was some kind of, it was like the Sangha, the community was gathering, and there was this exchange that was taking place, and then afterwards, Ananda basically says, oh, I get it now. Community is like half of the path. It's half of the goal of this kind of awakening. And then the Buddha like shakes his head and says, not so, Ananda, not so. Kalyana Mitta, spiritual friends, Sangha, community, is the whole of the path. So we need each other. And this is also why, monks and nuns and lay practitioners practice together. So it is useful. And it's also very beneficial to learn how to be an island amongst yourself, an island in the ocean. How to learn how to be self-contained in your practice so that you're not dependent, but you're not isolated. You can sit on your own and you can have the benefit of a group. And so in Thailand, and I think maybe in Laos and maybe a few other Southeast Asian countries, and definitely in India, in ancient India, they're called tudong. Tudong monk means like a forest dwelling monk. And a forest dwelling monk would be sent out of the safety of the community, sometimes for a long time, and sometimes they would actually have to they would earn the right, and then they would go after a certain period of time, and they would go and do this, live in a cave, or build a lean-to in the jungle, or sleep in the charnel grounds, the graveyards. And then there's these, or like, basically go camping. And there's there's been some friends of mine who are monks here in the States who have done things like walking from, there's Metta Forest Monastery in San Diego to Abhayagiri Monastery in Northern California, and they would walk the whole way by themselves and relying, it was like a practice, like relying solely on the donation of those who would see them and recognize them. There's all these rules about when you're a monk or a nun where you can't carry more than like, I don't know, I can't remember, like a couple pounds, you can't have a big old backpack with all your stuff, and you just have like one bag and some flip-flops. It's pretty brave and courageous. But this part of that's part both in the time of the Buddha and now a necessary part of practice for self-reliance and trust and faith. So just a few kind of thoughts about that. I see another hand. Mark.
Yeah, Jason. Thanks. I really enjoying this conversation about community, and I was thinking, along with as we get together here, in the room there, here on Zoom and stuff like that, over the last couple of years, when it was only Zoom, a lot of it too. A lot of us connected outside of here, like the Sangha. We interact with each other on Instagram and Facebook, and or other have each other's phone numbers, emails, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I know there'll be a lot of times where I'm out doing my thing, at work or whatever, and maybe I'm kind of behaving unhealthily or thinking unhealthy, and maybe a notification from one of you guys will come up or pop up on my screen or something. It brings me back to, okay, wait a minute. These are my people. This is my practice, and I catch myself that I am thinking or acting unhealthy, and it kind of reins me back onto the path. Maybe even helps my day a lot just by that one little thing. Oh yeah, there's somebody in my Sangha right there, and it reminds me what I'm trying to do in my life. So I'm really enjoying it. It's not only together when we're on here, but when I'm out in life and it happens, it reminds me of the community I do have. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for saying that, Mark. And hopefully you can get up for the day long. I guess I should actually give that date. The 27th, from 10 to 4. And there is a, if you sign up on my website for the newsletter, my pop-up window is gone, but we'll maybe do something different. But there'll be an easy way to sign up. Then you'll get more information, about that day long and other day longs that I'm doing. Anything else? Other questions? There was something about this letting go. Let go, I gave this, it's a kind of an Ajahn Chah quote. Ajahn Chah is one of the Thai meditation masters that is the in our lineage. My teacher's teacher's teacher, Ajahn Mun, who was Ajahn Chah's teacher, was a Tudong monk. So he lived in the jungle in northern, like in a friggin', I think he lived in a hollowed out tree. Something like that. Yeah, there's some cool stories and books. I was in Thailand. I've been there a bunch, but I was there not that long ago, and I found this book. It's called Living Dharma, and this isn't the same book. I found it at the Wat Pah Nanachat, and I began to read it. And this is the teachings of 12 Buddhist masters in the Southeast Asian Theravada tradition, and we primarily focus on the Thai forest lineage, but I've also I ordained in Burma. I have been a part of the kind of Sayadaw Upandita tradition, and other there's other teachers, and Ton Jeff down at Metta Forest Monastery in San Diego, and other there's other lineages, and Buddhadasa Bhikkhu, who was one of my favorites, and I trained at his monastery in southern Thailand. And these are all just like names of like people that like what does all that mean? They're well-known historical figures that have helped to bring meditation to you. And anyway, so I'm thinking about going through this book and pulling out some of the core teachings from each of the 12 masters and doing a series about that. So this is a book by Jack Kornfield, actually, called Living Dharma. Mike will probably pop it up because that's what he likes to do. And cool to get the book yourself. The teachings of the 12 Buddhist masters. And there's just this one, it's kind of like the first chapter. And I want to read it. It kind of gives, I think, an essence of what this book is about. The entire teaching. I have reserved a whole chapter to make 3 simple statements. The entire teaching of Buddhism can be summed up in this way. Nothing is worth holding on to. If you let go of everything, objects, concepts, teachers, Buddha, self, senses, memories, life, death, freedom, let go, and all suffering will cease. The world will appear in its pristine, self-existing nature, and you will experience the freedom of the Buddha. The rest that follows in this book are useful approaches and techniques for learning to let go. The entirety of the teaching is learning to let go. And the way that Ajahn Chah put it, let go a little, we'll have a little freedom, a little relief. Let go a lot, we'll have a lot of freedom, a lot of relief. Let go completely, we can have complete freedom. Complete peace and ease. In my own experience, the times that I have been able to, let go, I have literally noticed a lightening of my own being, a relief from the kind of heaviness or feeling weighed down. And I'm just talking like a minuscule amount of letting go. And even sometimes like in the moment of just like letting go of having to be right. When's the last time you caught yourself in the needing to convince, no, I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. I used to do that all the time in school. Not until I got into college, because I didn't care about school until I got into college. Because, it was hard to care about. But seeing that kind of nature in me, and then just the kind of letting go of needing to be right was so freeing. I actually met a very smart nun named Aya Santusika, and she told a very similar story about how when she was like a, she's like a Stanford kind of neuroscience computer science, something like that. She was like wicked smart, right? And then she started to recognize that she would be arguing with her professors all the time, like raising her hand and asking difficult questions and wanting to kind of, leaning into this kind of, I want you to know that I know, I think it's just a very, takes a lot of wisdom to be able to sit back and go, oh, wow, I'm doing that. Oh, I'm doing that. I'm not always good at it, but in the times when I recognize that, that's just one example of this kind of letting go. So anyway, I'm thinking about riffing a bit off of these 12 masters, and we'll see what happens. Thoughts, questions? Yeah, James.
Hi, thanks. I'm also green to Zoom, so I couldn't even figure out how to get my hand raised until now.
It's all right. Sorry I didn't tell you.
I had a couple questions, but we're kind of running out of time. And you lit something in my head when you were talking earlier. You mentioned that you previously had a more hardcore practice, and then you chose an easier, gentler way, I guess. Mm-hmm. I wondered if you'd just expand on that a little bit, because it did raise my curiosity what you meant by that, and what your thought process was to take a different path, or if you ever go back to that on occasion. Mm-hmm. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I will give you a teaser and then say come back next week, because we are just about out of time, and I actually was one of my thoughts for tonight was to just talk about that just actually just kind of tell my story in a bit, in a way. Sometimes in the Zen tradition they call it the way-finding story, which is how I got here to some degree, and so I'll do that next week. And it was probably heartbreak that really got me to soften up a bit, and realizing that I was maybe relying a little too much on the raft and not enough on the Dharma. Yeah. So that's the short answer. More to be revealed. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Feel free to, we need to end, but feel free to donate to this center against the stream. You can click the donation button. There is a bowl here, and there is a Venmo for Against the Stream meditation. And also, if you want to support me in my practice and my teaching, you can Venmo me at the No BS Buddhist or Jason Murphy on Venmo. They're kind of the same, but you can look me at No BS Buddhist or Jason Murphy if you want to search me there. But yeah, there's no charge, for the Dharma, for the practice. There is a suggested donation of $15, but it's not a requirement. And it's always free and up to you. So let's just gather all the goodness of our practice. That we meet together and we practice together to support each other in our own awakening. And may any goodness that has come from our time here, our time together, may this goodness be dedicated to the freedom from suffering for all beings. May all beings be free. Even you, even me. August 27th. No. Is it August? February 27th.
February, bro. February.
February 27th, 10 to
Don't
4.
skip ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
You said 10 to 4?
10 to 4, yeah. Uh-huh. And
All
then,
There it is.
Come,
Thanks, Nancy.
come back next week. We'll, I'm looking to probably do a day long every week or so. I mean, every month or so. I'm out of it.
We're going to have it on Zoom too?
You guys got to register so I know how many people. But yeah, I'll do it. We'll do it on Zoom.
In the room and on Zoom. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, turn off recording. All right, you guys, take care.
Good night,
All right,
everybody.
man. Good night.
Yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind taking care of that. Oh shit. Stop stream.
Soto Zen at first, right?
Yeah, I started with Soto Zen.
That was my first taste as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked a lot.